Hi. Uh,
Hi.
Hi, Alex. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
We
Hello.
are again here today for Fast Conversation, and we are joined by Alex Dela Cruz, who completed his master's in law at the University of Melbourne just last year. Alex was here on an Endeavour Scholarship, and today he'll tell us more about his scholarship. Hi, Alex. How are you?
Hello, Ethel. I'm good. Thank you for inviting me to to Fast Conversations this afternoon here in Manila.
It's evening, early evening in Melbourne. And as
Yeah.
Alex mentioned, he's joining us all the way from Manila. He's back in Manila because he completed his degree last year. Now, Alex, I'll start with the first question. Would
Okay.
you mind telling us why you decided to apply for an Endeavour scholarship?
Well, uh, I applied for an Endeavour scholarship because I saw that there was simply no way for me to study overseas on my own funds. And it's that was the main consideration because it was just the costs of studying overseas for Filipino students is just astronomical.
Right. Um, there are so in our previous fast conversation we spoke to Mike Maliksi, who was
Mm.
on an Australia Award scholarship. So Australia Award is yet another Australia government funded scholarship, and Endeavour is also another one, right?
Yes. Yes.
tell, Tell us, how did you prepare for your application?
Well, to how did I prepare for it? Well, I first looked it up online. Everything what you would really appreciate about these Australian government funded scholarships is that all the information about them are readily available online. So if you were an applicant aspiring to secure one of these scholarships, one of the best ways to do it is to carefully read the instructions and the information provided for in the scholarship website. So that's how I began my process, and how I started this was to carefully read the applicable rules for my year of application, because I understand that the rules change every year. And when it came to actually preparing the application packet, it really boiled down to giving it time, actually enough time to meet the applicable deadlines, to enable your, for example, your recommenders to give them enough time, lead time, to supply their recommendation forms. So these are the things that I took into consideration. Other than the actual preparation of the application packet, it's the the time element.
How long of a preparation did you take?
Oh well, the at least for my round, which was the 2016 round, the applications opened in April 2015. So before April 2015, at around December 2014, as early as December 2014, I have been scouting for schools, uh, Australian schools, in which to make an application for the master's program. So at around December 2014, I have narrowed down my choice to Melbourne Law School, because unlike Australia Awards, the Endeavour scholarships require applicants to already have been admitted to an Australian university before they can apply for an Endeavour postgraduate scholarship. So at around December 2014, and then January, I applied for a passport, because this is extremely necessary for these applications, whether for the school or for the scholarship itself. Um, After that, I immediately made an application for the master's program of Melbourne
Unimel.
Uni.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and then when the results came in, but I made the application at around March 2015. The results came in at around May 2015. That was
Mhm.
the time that my scholarship application had any, sense of hope of progressing, because I already have evidence of admission to an Australian university. So that was the time I booked an appointment for my English language competency exams. I contacted my potential recommenders for the scholarship program, and the deadline for the 2016 round was on the 30th of June 2015. I was able to submit mine just in the nick of time on the 29th of June 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, 2015. Yeah. So
So
yeah.
so that's a very clear difference between the AA and
Mm,
Endeavour. With AA, you don't need to be accepted to a school yet.
yes.
With Endeavour, you have to take
You
that
have.
step ahead and get
Yes.
accepted to a school, to a program in a university of your choice in Australia.
Yes. Yes.
Right.
That's one of the main differences, and because of that, I also had to pay for the cost of applying to
Mm.
Melbourne Uni.
All right. What was the most challenging in your opinion? What was the most challenging part
Part
of
of
the
the
application process?
oh I see that, for example, I now remember, there was one question in the Endeavor application form. uh, Everything is done online, but so the question goes, what would be the what how would giving you an Endeavor scholarship improve the relations between Australia and the Philippines? So that's one of I'd say that was the most challenging part of the application process. And I was lucky because in 2015, um, that was the 69th year of diplomatic relations between Australia and the Philippines. So it was just no, it was just the right time to actually make reference to the fact that the next year, 2016,
Mm.
the round I intend to join the Endeavour scholarships, is to will mark the 70th anniversary of the founding of diplomatic relations between our countries, and it was an interesting time to think about, or to rekindle those relations through people to people links that
Mm.
I would build by being able to study in Australia.
Right. So
Even
let's just review. You started scouting for schools December 2014,
24. Yes.
and then you got accepted by May 2015. You
Yes.
submitted your Endeavor in June, tama ba? June
Yeah, 29 June 2015.
June 2015. And then
Yes.
when did you start studying?
I started well, I arrived in Australia, July, in the middle of July 2016. And
Okay.
and
So
yeah,
it's a
and
full year of wait.
yes, yes, it's a whole year. And it's because I chose to to start my Endeavour scholarship in the second semester of the Australian academic year. I could have chosen to
Start of the year.
enter, yeah, to do a first semester intake, but I instead chose a second semester intake, because I found that a first semester intake was too soon for me.
Mm.
So I decided, yeah, I will come in July 2016.
After you submitted the packet, what else came next in the selection process? Were you interviewed? Was there a
No,
panel?
there
That was
wasn't.
it?
Yeah, there were no interviews. There weren't
Wow.
any. After I submitted the entire application packet online through the Endeavour website, nothing more. I just waited for the results, and that was in June, end of June, and the results came in November,
Oh,
first
wow.
first week of
So,
November
so in short,
2015.
everything boils down to your application packet.
Yes, everything will boil down to how the applicant articulated his or her essays, her
Mm.
application motivation essays, um, about what would make the applicant a good fit for the proposed program. Yeah.
Right. Okay. We want to finish up with three critical tips for those who are interested in applying for the scholarship and successfully getting one.
Okay. Well, three tips. Top of my head, first would be to be very clear about one's reasons or motivations, uh, one's background that would make the application seem sensible, that or how would I put it, irrefusable, if there's even such a word, because you are since the Endeavour application process is entirely, I don't know how it is being done in the years after my intake, but since the Endeavour application process is done online and mostly through essays, that is the applicant's single shot to make his or
Mm.
her story heard or seen by the panelists who you'd never meet, you'd never get to see, or to the chance to actually convince them in person that you are the right person for this scholarship. So you have to make your application, uh, not, of course,
Convincing.
convincing, not padding it, not making it, of course, it goes without saying that you still need to submit an honest
Yes.
application, a truthful application, because that would, of course, be a ground for disqualification later on if it turns out that they were fabricated. And I'm sure they have means to verify information applicants submit to them. But the point is to make an application that is, um, that states why you are doing this in the first place. An application that would make them convinced that you are doing this not only for your own good, for your own interest, but also because there is something that you would like to contribute to the discipline you want to study, the something you would like to contribute to your home country when you return after your program is done. Second tip I would give is, again, I've mentioned this earlier, time.
Mm-hmm.
Time is of the essence, and since the Endeavour scholarship is on a more or less 1 year frame, before one gets to actually start the the actual studying part of this process. Then the applicant must look into to the Australian institution he or she wants to be associated with, see if this institution is a good fit for his or her needs, and make sure that the term, the intake he or she is applying for, would correspond to their Endeavour round he or she would like to apply in. So, for example, as early as March 2015, when I was applying for admission to Melbourne Law School, I made sure that I indicated in my application form that it was for a July 2016 entry.
Mm-hmm.
And many Australian universities actually accept applications for admission on a rolling basis.
Yes,
So there is
correct.
no Yes, so there is no hard and fast deadline
Mm-hmm.
to actually meet. It's just that it's only a matter of whether your application made it in time for a particular intake.
Yeah. The other thing to remember is if it's a rolling, only usually the ones that have scholarship deadlines are the ones that have specific time when you have to have your application sent in to the university. But otherwise, as you mentioned, it's a rolling application, but you do have to indicate when you want your intake. So when you want to start studying, because that's a factor that they will consider when they will start looking at your application. You can also indicate there, at least in Unimel, you can indicate when you would like the results to be released because you're waiting on scholarship, blah, blah, blah. Things like that can be noted in your application.
That was something I appreciated in the application process with Unimel, because I was able to actually tell them that, hey, I am applying for an Endeavour scholarship, and this is actually the only way I could say yes to your offer of admission, is because if I don't have funding, there's no point accepting the offer, right? So when I told them that I was actually applying for an Endeavour scholarship, they immediately gave me a letter of admission through email. Again, everything happens online. A lot of exchanges, a lot of back and forth via email. So they emailed the letter of admission to me, and that was the exact file I uploaded with the Endeavour website
Application.
Yes. Yeah.
So one last tip.
One last tip.
Meron pa ba?
Is ano pa ba?
Mag-apply?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people actually, ask me how did you get this? How did you get this scholarship? How did you bag this scholarship? How did you get into that university? A lot of it begins with actually convincing yourself that you want to do this. And if the first person to not believe in the applicant is the applicant himself or herself, I mean that would result in a half-baked application, So an application that doesn't passionately, but not braggingly. I say you should sell yourself passionately, but not not proudly, or not bordering on being on bragging, because as far as I know, scholarship panelists are allergic to applications that seem mayabang, that seem bragging, so that sound bragging. So the key here is to actually know what you want to do, why you are applying for this scholarship, and why are you applying even for admission to these programs, why you want to study what you want to study. And once the applicant has a good grip of what these things are, the answer to these questions are, then the writing the application essays for Endeavour scholarships should not be complicated.
Right. All right. Thank you so much,
I hope
Alex.
I answered your question.
Yes, you have. And I hope the people who are watching, who are interested in applying for an Endeavour, would be encouraged to do so, because sometimes it takes more. You're super fortunate. It only took you one application.
Yeah.
Other people have to apply multiple times. And that's not really that discouraging, because I always say that you always learn something from applying and not getting the scholarship. It will make your application next time better. Right. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you, Ethel, for having me.
And we hope to see you again in Melbourne.
Yeah, I hope that too. Thank you.
Bye.